It's June 25th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with a deadly fire at a lithium battery plant here in the country. At least 22 workers, mostly Chinese nationals, were killed in Monday's fire in Hwaseong, Gyeonggi-do province. Authorities are resuming search operations for the one person still missing, and a special team will start investigating the cause of the fire in the coming hour. North Korea resumed sending trash-carrying balloons to South Korea Monday, with some of them already being spotted here in Seoul. This is the fifth time such balloons have been sent south since late May. The U.S. State Department placed South Korea back in the Tier 1 group for human trafficking elimination efforts for the first time in 3 years. Countries like North Korea, China, and Russia were put in the lowest third tier. A massive fire broke out at a primary battery factory in Hwaseong on Monday, leaving at least 22 dead. A joint investigation is set to take place this morning to determine the exact cause of the fire, and the search for the missing one person is still ongoing. Kim Bo-kyung reports.
Police and fire authorities will begin a joint investigation on Tuesday morning at 10:30 a.m. into one of the worst accidents to occur at a chemical factory in the country. It will involve around 30 people from 6 agencies, including the Gyeonggi Nambu Provincial Police, which oversees Hwaseong, along with fire authorities, the National Forensic Service, and other relevant organizations to determine the exact cause of the fire. Meanwhile, the search for the last missing person resumed at 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. They are assumed to be inside the factory still, given their mobile phone location tracking results. A fire broke out at a lithium primary battery plant run by Arirang on Monday, leaving at least 22 workers dead. The first blaze broke out on the second floor of the number 3 building at 10:31 a.m., and the main fire reportedly became under control at around 3:10 p.m. A Level 2 emergency response previously issued by fire authorities to ask for support from 8 to 14 fire stations was downgraded to Level 1 at 9:51 p.m. At least 35,000 batteries are believed to have been inside this plant, and the CCTV footage released by the fire authorities showed a small amount of smoke coming from one battery. 15 seconds later, other batteries began to explode. At least 22 people lost their lives. 18 Chinese nationals among the 28 foreigners, one person from Laos, one unidentified foreigner, and the rest 2 Koreans. Among 8 injured people, 2 are reportedly seriously injured. Firefighters reportedly faced challenges in extinguishing the fire with water due to the explosive nature of lithium batteries. What made matters worse is that there are no manuals or safety guidelines for the primary batteries, as they are considered to have a low fire risk compared to secondary batteries. President Yoon Suk-yeol visited the site of fire Monday afternoon, conveying his condolences and to urge fire authorities to thoroughly investigate the cause of fire. He added that the government should come up with comprehensive measures to completely extinguish the fire as early as possible, given the fires caused by chemical substances like batteries are difficult to put out with conventional methods. The Chinese ambassador to South Korea, Shin Hae-min, also visited the site. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
North Korea resumed sending trash-carrying balloons to South Korea Monday, just 3 days after the regime's leader's sister Kim Yo-jong warned about doing so. Our North Korean Affairs correspondent Kim Jung-seo reports.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff announced Monday night that North Korea had resumed sending balloons, which likely carried trash. The military said the balloons headed southeast from the northern regions of Gyeonggi-do province. Seoul City sent a safety alert text at around 10 p.m. that the balloons had entered the skies over Seoul. North Korea already sent trash-carrying balloons on 4 occasions between May 28th and June 10th. South Korea's Ministry of Unification provided some information about the balloons sent previously.
The majority of the trash was cut-off waste paper, plastic and clothing scraps that seem to have been put together for the purpose of sending, rather than regular household trash. There were also parasites found in the soil included in the trash.
The ministry added that the parasites may have come from human waste, while adding that there was no risk of contamination or infection. While most were carrying planned trash made for balloons, the ministry said there was also trash that may indicate the poor economic condition in the north, such as old, worn-out socks, gloves, and T-shirts. Monday's balloon launch is believed to be in retaliation for the 300,000 leaflets sent by a North Korean defector organization last Thursday. Fighters for a Free North Korea, a civic group, sent dollar bills, leaflets, and USBs carrying South Korean dramas and songs. Meanwhile, the International Civil Aviation Organization, a specialized United Nations agency, expressed deep concern over the regime's jamming of GPS signals that affected hundreds of airplanes last month. The agency decided to notify the North to comply with relevant conventions. This is the first time that the ICAO has named North Korea as the perpetrator of such conduct. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
The U.S. says the Washington Declaration signed by the leaders of South Korea and the U.S. last year could work as a tool for deterrence amid security concerns following last week's Putin-Kim summit. According to U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Campbell on Monday, the agreement enhances the U.S.'s deterrence commitment, adding that both countries will now have to follow through with the specific steps in the declarations. The key deterrence measures in the agreement are the establishment of a bilateral nuclear consultative group to discuss strategic and nuclear planning, and a U.S. pledge to strengthen the regular visibility of the strategic military assets on the peninsula. Now, the comments come as the leaders of North Korea and Russia last week signed a new treaty that provides military assistance to the other without delay in the event of an armed aggression. The U.S. AC-130J aircraft, also known as the Ghost Rider, is currently here in South Korea for joint area drills with South Korean forces. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung was at the Osan Air Base to take a closer look at the gunship.
The heavily armed U.S. AC-130J aircraft made a second visit to South Korea earlier this month. For the occasion, U.S. Forces Korea Monday held a special press conference at the Osan Air Base in the city of Pyeongtaek, providing a closer look at the gunship, also known as the Ghost Rider. As you can see behind me, the Ghost Rider is a key U.S. military asset and remains one of the most requested aircraft by ground forces. The AC-130J is a traditional C-130J cargo aircraft modified with an array of sensors and weapons. Its primary missions are close air support, air interdiction, and armed reconnaissance. The Ghost Rider can be armed with 30mm and 105mm cannons and fire precision-guided weapons.
When you pair all of those weapons with the constant left-hand turn that a gunship is known for flying, our weapons are continuously pointed in the direction of any potential targets. Simply put, the speed at which we can engage rounds on target in less than 30 seconds, that is unmatched by any aircraft in the world. That allows us to deliver rapid, persistent, and accurate fire support that is very unique to the gunship.
The Ghost Rider was first and last deployed to South Korea in March last year for live fire exercises. And last week, South Korean and U.S. forces conducted their second joint drills over the Korean peninsula involving the aircraft.
We've not forgotten our commitment to the Ironclad Alliance to defend our homelands, a commitment born out of the blood and 70 years of working together to ensure a safe and peaceful peninsula. Since then, we've steadfastly maintained a deterrence posture with a credible special operations force to prevent conflict, while also giving senior leaders options and the knowledge that we will prevail if needed.
The U.S. gunship arrived approximately 2 weeks ago and is set to depart later this week after conducting additional training events. The drills involving the Ghost Rider come amid escalating tensions on the Korean peninsula following deepening military cooperation between North Korea and Russia. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News, Pyeongtaek.
74 years ago on this day, North Korean troops invaded South Korea. It ended in a ceasefire, but there were also sacrifices made by those who fought for liberty and peace. We're joined by Director Kim Kang-ho from the United Nations Peace Memorial this morning. Thank you so much for coming onto our program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, this year we marked the 74th Korean War anniversary. The question is, why do we still need to remember and be grateful for the sacrifices made by the UN forces, veterans, and also their families? And specifically, why does it matter to our current future generations?
Thanks for having me. Why we remember and why it matters? That's very thoughtful questions. Today of this year marks the 74th anniversary of the outbreak of the war. During the war, approximately 1,988,400 young individuals from around the world fought here in this land. Each of them a hero who contributed to saving our country. The ages of these veterans are nearing their mid-90s. Some sacrificed their lives along with their youth, while others lived with disabilities or trauma for the rest of their lives.
Right,
These precious.
Please go
these
ahead.
precious sacrifices brought forth from freedom, democracy, and prosperity on this land for the people they never met. That's why we must not forget that it was the young blood and painful sacrifices of UN veterans that laid the foundation for present-day Korea. And also, that's the reason it matters to the generations now and future generations.
Definitely. Then why does the world, now we all know why Koreans have to remember the young spirits and their sacrifices, but why does the world need to remember the Korean War and those who sacrificed their lives for the world? Why does it matter to others around the world?
The process and result of the Korean War played a crucial role, not only in Korea, but also in global freedom and democracy. Ultimately, the Korean War strengthened the role of the United Nations and contributed to global peace and security, building upon the freedom and peace achieved through the dedication of veterans. Korea achieved economic growth and became a symbolic case of solidarity and cooperation among allied nations. The sacrifices of veterans from 22 allied nations resonate deeply with people worldwide, highlighting their courage and humanitarian achievement. Through the global citizenship education of the UN Peace Memorial, this legacy is being passed down to future generations.
Right, and that is why your organization, the United Nations Peace Memorial, is still up and running. So let's talk about UN Peace Memorial.
The United Nations Peace Memorial, located in Busan and celebrating its 10th anniversary, is a memorial museum with the education system under the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs. We are dedicated to spreading awareness of the noble sacrifices and dedication of UN veterans and to strengthening ties with the participating countries through exhibitions, educations, and memorial projects. Additionally, UNPM operates 3 cultural and art groups, which are an orchestra, boys and girls choir, and adult choir to engage in numerous activities.
Well, then I have to ask you, how can we, ordinary people, express our gratitude and learn more about the sacrifices made by the UN forces, veterans, and also the young spirits?
There are many ways to express our gratitude, but I think the best way to thank veterans is through remembering itself. Therefore, we conduct various educational programs for this purpose. Education is a powerful means to achieve this. Last spring, the director of a Gloucester Military Museum in the UK, which has a partnership with the UNPM, visited us. His first question was, who is your primary target audience? Without hesitation, I answered children. While exhibitions recount significant past events, but their ultimate goal should be a focus on the future. We offer several education programs for different age groups to help establish a historical perspective. We also run the global citizenship education in collaboration with UNESCO, and we provide mock international conference on world peace, human rights, etc., to help future generations grow into global leaders.
Lots of activities and programs to look into. Director Kim, before I let you go, any projects that you'd like to share that you or your organization is currently working on to further honor those who made their sacrifices?
We are particularly engaged in the exchange program with the UN allied nations. Last June, for instance, we met veterans and their families participating in the campaign to collect Korean War belongings in Luxembourg and Belgium. In July, we plan to host an exhibition featuring late Colonel William Weber, who lost his right arm and right leg during combat. We will have a welcoming program for those veterans and their grandchildren, along with the MPBA's Korea Visit program. Additionally, in August, our cultural and art group will engage in cultural exchange activities in Thailand. We also plan to further promote the veterans' dedication throughout European countries with the Boys and Girls Choir. We will continue to expand meaningful activities to commemorate and honor the sacrifices of UN sending countries and veterans.
All right, Director Kim, thank you so much for joining us this morning and also for your service. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you.
The U.S. State Department has put South Korea back on the list of top-tier level countries that meet the standards for the elimination of human trafficking. The department released its 2024 Trafficking in Persons report on Monday, with South Korea listed in the Tier 1 group, along with 32 other countries and territories, including the U.S., Britain, Taiwan, France, and Singapore. The report says South Korea increased related investigations and prosecuted and convicted more traffickers. However, it did note that the South Korean government did not proactively investigate labor trafficking cases and was not adequate in its victim identification index to screen for labor trafficking. South Korea was put into Tier 2 in the 2022 report for the first time in 20 years. Meanwhile, North Korea was put in the lowest third tier for the 22nd straight year. The South Korean government continues towards its goal of creating a new era of public transportation, with the opening of another station on the GTX-A line at the end of the month. Our Lee Soo-jin tells us more.
The next stop on Seoul's high-speed commuter line is set to open by the end of this month. The Transportation Ministry announced that the GTX-A line will be stopping at Hwaseong Station starting June 29. As the next station to open on the GTX-A line following the opening of Suseol in southern Seoul and Seongnam and Dongtan in the neighboring Gyeonggi-do province in March this year. And they're all part of the South Korean government's plan to make it faster for people to commute to their jobs in Seoul. People who get on at Hwaseong Station will now be able to reach the city in around 15 minutes compared to the 36 minutes on the existing Suin-Bundang line. And it'll cost only 3,950 won, or around $3. As for the rest of the line, the northern section is scheduled to open in the second half of the year, followed by the connection between Seoul Station and Suseol in 2026, and finally the stop at Samsung Station, one of the nation's most used subway stations, in 2028. The government is also hoping that the opening of this station will boost the ridership of the GTX-A line, which is currently lower than expected.
Passengers can transfer from the Suimbundang line, which is expected to raise ridership. And it's a station that represents Yongin City.
And ahead of the opening of the new stop on the line, the government also carried out radiation inspections in a move to mitigate concerns about extra electrical substations being built to supply electricity for the GTX lines. According to an official, radiation below the World Health Organization's guidance level of 83.3 microtesla doesn't have any health risks.
The level of radiation detected from the substations just 3 meters away was not only under the WHO's guidance level, but also lower than what's emitted from hairdryers and microwaves.
The tests that were carried out in the electrical substation came to around 2.7 microtesla and on ground level around 0.04 microtesla. With the opening of more stations like this on the GTX-A line scheduled in the coming months, more people will be able to enjoy faster and safer accessibility to the city. 이수진, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Hwaseong, and now we turn off to stories from around the world. The Kremlin on Monday warned of consequences following Sunday's missile strike on Sevastopol in occupied Crimea by Ukraine, which left 4 dead and some 150 injured. The Kremlin also blamed the US for supplying advanced missiles to Ukraine, accusing the US of killing Russian children. Sunday's attack was also described as being absolutely barbaric. The Russian Foreign Ministry on Monday summoned the American ambassador to Moscow to protest Ukraine's use of US-made ATACMS missiles, saying that retaliatory measures will certainly follow. Russia's defense ministry on Sunday claimed that all ATACMS missiles are programmed by American specialists and guided by US satellites. Moving over to India, a Delhi city minister is in the midst of a hunger strike to demand more drinking water in the country's capital, where taps are running nearly dry in its poorest neighborhoods amid scorching summer heat waves. Delhi Water Minister Atishi Malena Singh entered day 4 of the strike on Monday. She said that there are 2.8 million people in the city who are aching for just a drop of water. Atishi also said that Delhi is suffering from a shortage because the government of the neighboring state of Haryana has been supplying 100 million gallons of water per day less to Delhi for the last 3 weeks. The majority of Delhi's water supply relies on the Yamuna River that runs through the country's capital. However, during dry summer months, the river slows down, causing shortages that has led to protests before. Now to the US, where a lawsuit was filed by a civil liberties group against the state of Louisiana on Monday over a new law requiring the Christian 10 Commandments to be displayed in public school classrooms. 9 families with children in the state's public schools filed a lawsuit in the Louisiana federal court saying the law violates the First Amendment of the US Constitution, which calls for the separation of church and state. Included in the lawsuit are plaintiffs representing a variety of religious beliefs who worry the law interferes with their children's religious freedom, while the group's lawyer says it pressures parents and children to accept the state's favored religious agenda. Louisiana became the only state in the US to require the display of the 10 Commandments in public school classrooms on June 19th. Lastly, to winter season Chile. Chilean authorities began a rescue mission on Sunday in the central Cajon del Maipo Canyon, where heavy snow avalanches cut off the majority of the roads in the region. The provincial chief of Chile's national police said that 33 people were left isolated and trapped at the Lagunitas ski center, including 8 children. In the region metropolitana of central Chile, avalanches left 29 people stranded as the snow blocked an access road in the mountains. Alejandra Cortes, a federal government delegate to Cordilleras province, said that the authorities are doing everything possible to save people who are trapped, while adding that they may attempt to set off a controlled avalanche to clear the snow if required.
Good morning. The heat will not be too strong today, but sun safety is a must, with parts of Jeollanam-do and Gyeongsang-namdo provinces seeing UV rays going up to extreme levels during the day. And it's best to stay indoors during the hottest parts of the day from noon to 3 p.m. Temperatures will hover right around the norms, so Seoul and Chuncheon will be going up to 27 degrees, Daegu at 29 degrees Celsius. Sunny skies expected nationwide, except on Jeju, where cloudy skies will cover the island before another monsoonal front arrives early tomorrow. The island will receive downpours again, getting more than 150 millimeters through Thursday. The south coast could also see up to 60 millimeters of heavy showers. Meanwhile, central regions stay sunny and hot through the rest of the week with higher humidity. And by Friday, Seoul will get up to 33 degrees Celsius. Then weekend rain will put the brakes on the warming trend. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, 9 a.m. Korea time.